All right, what's going on? Black Speakers Network is back in the building on another BSN Speakers Magazine collaboration. It is February. We're super excited. I got the gang all here, as you can see. My amazing co-hosts, we got Mr. Rodney C. Barris in the building, BSN's own, Baltimore's own leadership expert. We got Miss Sierra Black. Atlanta is in the building, and then our feature cover expert, Mr. Shawn Fair, all the way from Detroit, Michigan, is in the building. What's going on, y'all?
Good afternoon.
Yeah,
Happy
one.
Black History Month, everyone. Welcome to February. Welcome to February.
Listen, we are here, Black History Month, and what a great way to kick things off. So, if you're brand new, I'm super excited that you're here. I know we're broadcasting into the BSN Facebook group, one of them, and most of you are probably joining us on YouTube as well. So feel free to say hello. And if you're not familiar, Speakers Magazine is the official magazine of Black Speakers Network. Pam Perry could not be able to join us today, but this is a magazine that's been in publication over 4 years. You can see Sierra holding it up right there. We got Shawn Fair on the cover this month, so we're going to be diving into it. Rodney is no stranger to being on the cover, and you can see mine right back there. So
Heavy hitters in the room.
Look, I keep it with me. Shawn, we're telling people, like, I like to keep this one and a copy in my trunk for if I get pulled over, people know.
He says, "Do you know who I am? I'm on the cover."
Listen, you gotta keep your credibility with you.
That's right, at all times.
You know what I mean? So that's what it is. So I'm excited. Shawn, congratulations. We had an opportunity to meet at SpeakerCon this year, and you've just been doing some incredible things. So certainly want to talk a little bit about the Leadership Experience Tour, which is happening now, and then ultimately kind of get into some of the great work that you've been doing in the speaking space. And so, and then as we move forward, what you guys here?
Yeah, the back, the leadership tour is on the back. Yeah. So can't wait until we get into that. This was a very different type of interview. I always say that, but this one really took me back to corporate. It took me back to corporate with Shawn's experience and actually what he's laying out and what he has planned for his speakers. Mm-hmm. So I had a chance, when you read the article, it's really talking about his business model for speakers. That is amazing. Wow. So I can't wait until we get into it a little bit more. And today's word, the word for today, guys, is community. Because everything that you see before you, everything we're going to talk about today is really out of an established community that every speaker needs in building their career, in building their speaking career.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I think a lot of times, and Rodney, you talk about this a lot. Like,
one of my favorite things about the network. You talking about like the value of the network. Yeah. One of the things that I share all the time is, so if you think about the network as if it were a net, like a cargo net, a safety net, somebody on the trapeze.
My man always good for these analogies. That's what.
Right.
Come on, let's go.
If you look down, it looks spacious. It's a bunch of holes. Like, is this really going to catch me? The strength of the safety net, of the support system, of the network is not that it's some solid, immovable structure. It's in the connections between the knots, the relationships that support us up. And if I know I got good relationships behind me, if I know that I know this person that knows this person, like this room right here, the fact that we know Pam, we know Brian, we know Sierra, we know Rodney, we know Shawn, and these relationships, all of a sudden I get to move with a little bit more. I still got to have my own balance. I still got to do the work, right? I still got to come up. But I move differently in this world, and this is what it's all about. So Shawn does that in his own way. Brian definitely does that. Sierra, you and I have been a part of a bigger system like that, and now we're just making the net bigger. I'm all for it. I could talk about that kind of stuff all day.
I know. We got to get the cover guy back. What happened to Shawn? Let's give him a minute.
Yeah.
I know, right? And you know what? I appreciate you saying about the strengths of that network, because that is key, and that's what community is. And that's why we show up every every second Saturday of the month to help build that community and showcase people that are part of that community.
Absolutely.
You know, Brian, you're doing amazing work. I know what you're doing for the network, for the community, and we know Pam is always out there strengthening that community. And I'm glad to have Shawn with us too, because that, you know, he has a community in which I had not been exposed to.
Yeah. I'm surprised that this is the first time that
Right.
Shawn and Brian met. So y'all just met at Speakers Con. I want Shawn to come back and talk about his experience with that. But I just knew, Sierra, that Brian and Shawn had
You were the one that connected us. You remember kicking off, you did a video, y'all were at lunch or something, and you were like, hang on. And I've never known anybody to do this. And this is why you're such a master at, you know, kind of practicing what you preach about that net.
Absolutely.
Because Sierra, he was literally at dinner with this man or somewhere. He was like, hey, hang on. And he took like a video and he was like, hey, I'm sitting here with Shawn. Shawn's in there like, what's happening? Like, he's like, hey, Brian, you need to meet Shawn. Shawn, you need, and make it happen. And then before you knew it, like, you know, we were talking.
There he is. Welcome back.
Hey, welcome back. Listen, I don't know what's wrong with my network. Like over the past 48 hours since we had our snowstorm, the network has been like, it's been off and on. I've called them and supposedly they're working on something, but if I need to, I will connect to my hotspot, but hopefully we're okay.
Well, you know, the party won't start until the host is here, till Shawn is here. So you haven't missed anything.
It sounds like Brian was having a great conversation on how we met or something along.
Yes.
Well, I was talking about the video that Rodney sent, and Rodney, I know you had a follow-up question on that. So
yes, I was just asking Shawn, did you remember that? So Shawn and I, we were eating wings or doing whatever we was doing, right? And I was like, Brian, because you know, such and such and such. And I knew, Sierra, that they knew each other. Like I knew that these two guys was already. And Shawn was like, yeah, I mean, I think I've heard his name a time or two. And I called Brian. I was like, hold on, bro. Because this is one of those connections that has to be made, right? And one of the other things that I love about a rope, about a safety net, is it's not just a string that's strung between the connections, but it's a braiding, it's a woven together, right? And so when you start taking multiple networks and then bringing those together, the strength of the net, right? The strength of that community support goes way up and you move differently in this world, right? And so having Brian come together and then having Shawn in those two systems, man, Sierra, I had to do it. I had to be a part of it.
You know, another word for that too is security. There's a sense of security there. That's what the net provides, and that's what all of this provides. And I know, you know, I've known Shawn for a couple of months because he and Pam have been working together. But you know, now that we're bringing it all to the forefront, it's just even better for those who are not familiar. So let's get into the cover guide. I mean, let's focus on Shawn and what he has going on. Shawn, where would you like to begin, first of all?
Well, where do you want me to start?
Let's start first with the leadership tour. Why don't we start there? Because that's what this is all about. That's what we want to promote. And that's what we want to drive people to. Let's talk about the leadership tour, how you thought of this to come. I kind of know because I had an opportunity to sit before you, but share with the audiences why this is happening and the benefit of them being part of this and how they benefit. Because it's more than just an event. It is really something instrumental to their growth as a speaker.
Absolutely, Sierra. Thank you so much. You know, this all came about 5-6 years ago. You know, I was in the corporate world working as a training executive. I've been the VP of training for AT&T, T-Mobile, and there was a textile restoration company called CRDN. And I was always on these big stages inside of corporations. And I got to the point where I said, you know what, I can do training on my own. I have enough experience. I've been in all kinds of positions. I know the goods and the bads about leadership. And so I started my own training company called the Fair Consulting Group. And after I left corporate America, I started working with executives and mid-level managers here in the United States, Canada, and Europe. And as I was traveling and working with these different companies, I would always post, hey guys, I'm going to California to work with this company. Hey, I'm going to New York to work with this company. Like everywhere I went, I put it on social media. And I didn't know this, and they never liked anything that I've ever posted. But for about 2 years, there was a company called Imagine Theaters that was actually watching everything that I was doing. And one day when I was in Dallas, Texas, working with the company, I got a phone call from one of the directors of the organization. And they said, Shawn, we would like to have a conversation with you. And I said, well, what about? Well, they said, well, when you get back into town, why don't you just come meet with us and we'll tell you what we're thinking. And so what happened was I met with them, and this is what they said to me. They said, Shawn, we would like you to take your corporate training from the corporate classroom, from the hotel conference room, and bring your corporate training in onto the big screens at Imagine Theaters. Wow. And so I said, well, that sounds great. How does this work? What do I get out of it? And they said, Shawn, we'll give you a marquee at our theater. Your house, our house is your house. And we just split the ticket sales. And I said, okay, that sounds like a really big plan. And when I had my first event, and I think there was about 200 seats in this particular venue, I sold it out. And I saw the elevation that happened to me on that stage. And then about 6-7 months later, I did another one, and I brought in another speaker, and we sold it out. And I saw the elevation that happened to her on that stage. And then I brought in 4 or 5 more speakers, and we did another event. We sold it out, and everyone, they got elevation. Right. There was a lot of things that happened to them by being on the stage. And through that process, I started to understand what are some things that speakers need in order to be competitive in a paid environment. And here's what we came up with. We said, number one, you need professional stage footage. Number two, you need credibility. So being in publications like Speakers Magazine, for example, is necessary to establish your credibility in today's marketplace. No one's going to pay you 5, 10, 15, 20,000. When they Google you, they see absolutely nothing about you. So being in as many publications as you possibly can is extremely important. All right. Number three, you have to have exposure, which is absolutely critical. And number four, you have to have a platform. It means that that's something that you have that people want to be connected to, and they're willing to pay money for it. That allows you to consistently market yourself on a day in and day out basis. And that's how you become sought after a period of time. So when people come to my program, this is not a speaking program for you to get on stage and give a great presentation. Sure, you do that. But this is about giving you all of the things that you need in order to put yourself in position to compete with those who are getting paid $5, $10, $15, $20,000 to be on a platform. That's what this is truly all about. But we also teach people the 3 elements that are necessary in order for one to be thought of as a great speaker to get paid that kind of money. And there are 3 things. Speakers have to have the ability to engage, educate, and entertain. And
One more time, Shawn.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes, Sierra. Yeah. Go ahead, Shawn.
Educate, entertain, and engage. Most speakers educate. Some speakers educate and engage, but most speakers do not entertain. And people that are going to pay you 10, 15, 20,000 are not going to bring you on the stage unless you have the ability to entertain their audience. Those 3 components are absolutely necessary. And we help people to craft their stories in such a way when they do that. Listen, we don't want 55 speakers hitting our stage telling a somber story and making people smile or laugh.
So let me just say this. So that's the part that blew my mind, right? We all, we're all in a speaking space, right? So when he said educate, of course, engage, of course. But when he said entertain, I was like, give that to me again. Yes. He says, yes. He says that, when the corporate people reach out, their employees, everyone wants to be, not only employees, everyone wants to be entertained. So to me, that was kind of the secret sauce, but that's what blew my mind. And so when I talked about, now we're getting into the business model, because it's not so much, you come to him pretty much with your story. You have some things, even though it may need tweaking, you come to him and he's going to give you that full package. And to me too, I'm sure he'll get into this, Shawn. We talked about the importance of strategy before you get on the stage and strategy when you get off. So to me, he just has the complete package. But I just had to say, that's the kicker, guys, that entertainment. He said, you don't want to go on stage and be bleeding on folks. Back to you, Shawn.
I love that.
Well, I think one of the things, and Shawn, your background, your professional background to me is really compelling. It's something I can resonate with. I spent my introduction into corporate, part of my introduction into speaking was through training and development. I spent 2 years as a corporate trainer, then I got introduced to the world of instructional design and adult learning. And so I was in the classroom pretty much every week, training, delivering content. And if we weren't in the classroom, we were analyzing, designing, evaluating, the effectiveness of training. And I think, when you're kind of pulling in those 3 E's, I think kind of starting with a training mindset as a speaker kind of gives you a leg up, because at the end of the day, you got to be able to, teach people something. People should be learning something different. There should be some sort of change in behavior after you present. Otherwise, it just becomes entertainment. But then also the engaging piece, I think, is something that people like you specialize in. I see Rodney do it, like having actual techniques to be able to reach into that audience and make sure that people are with you, to get them kinesthetically engaged in your content, taking notes, following along. And so I really think that that's a strength that we probably don't talk enough about in speaking, only because people kind of tend to segment speaking and training. But I think starting over here with the adult education side, then you can really strengthen yourself as a keynote, or really any type of presentation that you end up delivering.
That's right. It makes the food go down, right?
Brian, you talk about the engagement piece, because that is also a big piece. And here's what I tell speakers all the time when they audition onto our platform, is that 10% of communication is verbal. That's it. So whatever comes out of my mouth, that's only 10% of communication. 40% is pitch, tone, and rate of speed. And that's why sometimes I'm on a stage, I'll talk really fast like this, because that's an engagement mechanism. And Sierra, sometimes I slow down. It tends to bring people in. 50% of communication is body language, it's hand gestures, it's facial expressions, it's eye contact. And all I'm trying to say to you is that 90% of communication is nonverbal. And speakers who master nonverbal communication skills are some of the best speakers in the world. As a matter of fact, your content can be god awful, but if your nonverbal communication skills are tight, you thought you heard the best presentation of all time. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that no one does something like that. I'm just using that as an example. But that is a big part of how you engage. Are those nonverbal communication skills? It's a wonderful.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
So let's just talk. Let me just chime in just briefly about the engagement aspect, because it is crucial. But what that engagement also does is it allows the listener, the person in the audience, to be present at that time, because it forces them to put away whatever, because you can sit there and just spaz out and think about something else. But that engagement, it brings you to the forefront, and it allows you to actually be present and hear what's going on from that stage. I think engagement is crucial, and I think it is so important for speakers to learn how to do that, to bring audiences to the present where they are.
Sierra, speakers have to understand, and I've dealt with this in corporate America, is that 30% of employees today in corporate America have some variation of ADHD, 30%. Now, I want you to understand, Brian, I got a touch of it myself. It ain't no sense you sending me an email with 5 paragraphs in it. I ain't reading it. Now, I might skim through it, but I'm not reading it. But if you get on the stage and you don't have anything engaging to say to me, I'm going to fall, I'm going to go to sleep on you. That's just how it works. Because if you can't engage, that means that whatever you're communicating is not sinking through, because no one's paying attention. And that's why the engagement aspect is so important.
And I think that's particularly important. I would say anytime you're on a flight, they always say the most important, the most dangerous parts, presumably the most important part of that flight is takeoff and landing. So takeoff, same thing with your presentation. In the beginning, like if you can't capture your audience in the first, minute, probably 30 seconds, then you're probably going to lose them. And it has to be a pattern interrupt. Like one of the things I really love is those Geico commercials. And the crazy thing about those Geico commercials is like, some of them, they make absolutely no sense whatsoever, but they interrupt whatever it is that you're doing. You cooking, yelling at your kids. You're like, what is going on?
Right.
And so having a way to kind of bring people in from the beginning, is crucial. And then the same thing as you're landing the plane, as we're closing our presentations, you got to have a way to kind of like tie it all together.
One of the things that I found really valuable, Brian, about Shawn's leadership experience tour is, folks, he shares those techniques in a very real, palatable, digestible way, right? So in our conversation right here in this live format, you get the alliteration, right? You get the education, the entertainment, the engagement, that and those 3 E's come through. But how do I do that, right? Show me how, demonstrate that to me. Being a part of Shawn's leadership experience tour, that experience word is so big, right? Because I experienced it firsthand. It's not just giving the experience as a speaker, as a trainer, being on that stage, but it's also getting the benefit of sitting around like-minded folks who are working on themselves and their craft, their mentality and their approach, and getting real-time feedback from people who have walked those paths, who have good credibility, right? And so being a part of the leadership experience tour, if you think the church, he just mentioned 2, 3, 4, 5 folks that experienced elevation being on their stages, right? I've been doing this for a long time, speaking, training. One of the best videos that I have came from being a part of Shawn's experience tour, right? And so if you want to really elevate that experience, I definitely suggest that you connect with Shawn in that tour. It'll be great for your career.
I'd like to respond. Thank you so much for that, Rodney. And Rodney is the bomb, by the way.
Yes.
He really is. And, before I start off a presentation, or when I start off a presentation, I always start off with a compelling story. It always an antidote. And those stories have been developed over the year. I have like 8 signature stories, and I don't care what topic I'm delivering. I can tie one of those 8 stories into that topic in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And those stories, they have the 3 E's in them. But I also want to state, you talk about your stage footage. Guys, we got about 800 pounds of equipment coming into this next event. We got camera cranes coming into this event. We got equipment coming from LA. We got a producer coming on a train. Right, because it costs $4,000 to ship the equipment on the plane. So they're actually taking a train from LA to come all the way here to Detroit to give the speakers an additional experience we've never given them before. And each speaker that's getting on the stage, there's going to be 5 video cameras that's going to be taking footage of them from 5 different angles. And that's absolutely crazy. And there will be 4 professional photographers taking photos of those speakers while they're on the stage. And every speaker gets all of that raw footage for the program that they signed up with, not to mention all the other stuff that they've gotten over the 4 months that they paid absolutely nothing for. We take what we do in ticket sales, and guys, we got about 800 virtual tickets sold. We take that money and we pump it right back into the speakers. So they're getting into free publications. They're getting free promo videos done, right? They're getting free promo PDFs done. And we have one of the best branding photographers in the country, and Emma Burkesell, who's taking 2 photos of each speaker that they can use to promote themselves for their promo materials and their marketing materials. It's absolutely necessary to have those things.
Shawn, this is a great segue. Why don't you tell them what you've added this year too? So in addition to all of that, as if that is not enough, he's bringing in subject matter experts that covers aspects such as branding, such as your customer management system. Shawn, why don't you tell them about what's new this year? Even if they've been to one before, you have established and implementing something new that I think they need to know about.
Well, there's a couple things. Because of the pandemic, we were hosting the event at a hotel, right? Because they allowed us to have 25% capacity when a convention center says you can only have 10 people in the room that holds 400. And so now we're back at the convention center. And although we're not going to pack it out, we're going to only have about 80 to 90 people in the event that holds 400. We'll space people out. But what we're doing is we're bringing in 2 Cadillac stretch trucks to transport the speakers back and forth between the hotel and the venue so they can get footage of themselves in that elevated space. That's number one. That's on that Thursday, Friday. I'm sorry, on Thursday. On Friday, I got a 41 passenger luxury bus coming in to transport the speakers back and forth, in addition to the hotel shuttle as well, because we have support with them. But they're going to get that branding footage. They'll be able to get that getting into the bus, taking footage while they're on the bus, getting footage while they're coming off the bus, going into the convention center. One of the other things that we added is that there's 8 hours of classes, right? So on that Friday from 9 a.m. all the way till about 4 p.m., we got branding classes. Pam Perry is going to be doing one of the classes. Ray Johnson will be doing some classes. I got the guy that does all of my lead generation systems, Chris Coda. He's coming into town from Atlanta to show people exactly how my system works and how the leads come in and how we're responding to the leads automatically, right? He does all of my ad work on Facebook and Instagram. He's going to show people exactly how that works. We got Larry Miller, who is one of the best videographers in this industry. Absolutely. He will also be there as well, and he's going to be talking about website and their video work and promo work. And so what we've done is we've brought a lot of people in to give them some of the education that they need, where they can do some of this stuff either through us, or they can do it on their own. Right? Because the fact of the matter is that we want to make sure that they're educated. We also have another program that's going to happen after they leave the stage, where they'll go through one of my corporate trainings. I'm going to teach them exactly where the events are. They can apply for paid speaking events right now. It's right underneath their nose. They just don't know it because most people are just not familiar with it. But even when you apply for those events, you know what they're going to ask you for? They're going to ask you for what's your topic. They're going to ask you for an explanation of your topic. They're going to ask you for the 3 objectives that their audience is going to get from that topic. And finally, what they're going to ask you for?
Footage.
They want your footage.
Yep, facts.
You don't have
absolutely.
You have no shot at competing without submitting some footage. And it's got to be at least 8 to 12 minutes of fluent footage on stage. They don't want to see a promo video. They want 8 to 12 minutes of fluent footage on stage. That's the only way that you can compete in today's marketplace. We're talking about speakers that are actually getting paid. And there's a lot of great speakers out there that have no footage. No.
Yeah, it becomes an issue, because even if you and you're investing heavily in making sure that piece is adequately covered. I mean, I can't think of an event. A lot of times, I mean, I know, Rodney, you've been in this situation where you may go to an incredible venue and it's kind of like, man, like, I wish I brought my own camera crew. And then you're looking at the media planner, like they barely got, somebody. So now you're trying to get like cell phone footage and stuff like that. And then the audio is all jacked up. Like, I think that's part of the challenge. It's a big part of the challenge for speakers. It's not necessarily always getting the engagement, but it's making sure that we can maximize it through all elements, and that includes testimonials, that includes video, that includes photos. And so I think that is absolutely hitting the nail on the head. I want to go ahead and transition into the Speakers Magazine walkthrough, because I know people are dying to see this February cover. Looks great. And then, Shawn, this is actually a takeover issue. I know Pam does these a couple times throughout the year, where we have an opportunity to, fully feature individuals who are connected.
Before we go there, Brian, I'm sorry to cut you off. Before we go there, though, I want to go just circle back and, the community. Before we get into that, I want to just show how people that's been in speakers, such as Rodney, he's been to Shawn's program. Letitia, she's an upcoming speaker. We also have Dr. Cheryl Wood. She's also going to be there, right? These are Shawn people who's going to experience. And then we have Dr. Cherie Good. So when we talk about community, all of these are cover photos of speakers magazines that are also part of BSN.
That's right.
And also part of Shawn's Leadership Experience Tour. So when we talk about community, we're not just throwing that word around lightly. We mean that holistically. This is a community in which you will get everything that you need as a speaker, as a business. And as for me, of course, I write for Speakers Magazine, that cover issue, but I also do part of the messaging, messaging matrix. Make sure you have everything, all the messaging you need for not only your website, but everything for social media, for PR, and Shawn gets the PR part. That's what makes this so sensational. That's why I say you took me back to corporate. He gets that sales and marketing. He understands how important that footage is of them coming off the bus, right? Of them getting on the bus, right? All of that is important to be elevated and get the money that you are deserving and worthy of as a speaker. Absolutely. So thank you for letting me finish that out. I just want to make sure we highlighted some of his speakers that will be there next weekend as we get into this takeover issue. Congratulations, Shawn.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into it and see what we got. Let me take the brand down. We can be, let me see. Well, I want to make sure that folks know that everything that we're looking at right now is available at speakersmagazine.net. Speakersmagazine.net is where you can check out the online issue. And Shawn, I believe you're going to have copies at the event as well next week, right?
Oh, yeah. We'll have a lot of copies at the event. Absolutely.
Well, so look at this cover, man. I was telling right before that this is executive. This is as executive as you can get. I mean,
yeah, man.
This looks good. So
very strong, Shawn.
Yeah.
Now, Shawn, did you pull this from the archives, or was this a custom for the magazine cover?
It was pulled from the archives. Emma Burkesell had just took it at the last tour, but I never posted it. So I gave Pam all the pictures that were taken at the tour that Emma took that I've never posted, and that's the one that she pulled out from it.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. No, I think it's awesome.
Shawn, is that one of them $300 shirts me and you went to go get?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
They clean, ain't it, Sierra? That thing is clean.
Hey, Rodney and I went shopping when he came into town. We went into the Hugo Boss store and we got the nice stretchy, dress shirts.
The one you
nice fit.
You never have to iron them. Like
quality.
Just cleans to your skin.
I know it. Listen,
your body.
It hug you.
It hugs your body.
Right. Embrace you.
Yes,
well,
sir.
This looks good. Very appropriate for Black History Month, and we'll get into the cover in a moment. And over here on the right, obviously, Pam has an amazing program. Again, Pam Perry, her and Mark, founder of Speakers Magazine, which, if you're not familiar, is an award-winning publication. It is the official magazine of Black Speakers Network. And so every single month you have an opportunity to actually be in Speakers Magazine. So if you want to learn more information, make sure you go to speakersmagazine.net. But here we have table of contents, and then Pam has her Ready, Set, Go, Speak program with Sierra. I know you have been instrumental.
Right. I am one of the program managers of that. And that is a great community, another great community to be part of, because Pam just lays out everything that you need. Keep in mind, she's been in the industry for over 30 years, right? She knows back and forth. So everything that you can think of that you need to elevate your brand, yourself, and to get your voice out there is included in this program. And what she doesn't have, I share in helping them get the content ready for them.
Can I give some examples on that real quick, Sierra?
Yes, please.
For folks that want to get into Pam, listen, if you've ever been in a situation, you just heard Brian say you need some stuff, you heard Shawn say you need some stuff. Sometimes we need things called a speaker's one sheet. I've been doing this for a while. I didn't even know what that was. Fortunately for me, word of mouth and referrals paid my bills. But once I was ready to kind of take it to a next level, there's things that I needed. Pam's Ready, Set, Go, Speak program, right? First of all, it's very, very, very accessible. It has a bunch of handouts and videos. And so I literally, y'all gonna laugh at me, but I'm taking those while we on this call, right? Because I believe in elevating and growing. I would print out the PDFs and work on the modules. I learned, right? And then I was able to take that knowledge and be like, okay, who do I know in my network that can help me get to this? It can help me get to that. If you're trying to get to the next level, and you don't know what that next level is, you just know you want to go up, a program opportunity like Ready, Set, Go, Speak with somebody that's as experienced as Pam Perry, Dr. Pam Perry, right, can give you the foundational tools to start that elevation process. I highly recommend it.
Nice. Look, can't get any better than that. You got people that have gone through it, and that's the whole thing in BSN. Like, my entire goal is to be able to find people who have set resources and just go. But you still have to
you still have to do the work, but the resources are there.
So let's jump into. So we got Dr. Burnett. And by the way, I think we mentioned, so all the people in the featured in this magazine speaking on the Leadership Experience Tour this time around are these individuals who have already gone through.
No, these are speakers that will be speaking on February the 12th. We have 55 speakers flying in on the 10th, but these 10, they are speaking on stage for this event.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic.
Awesome. So do you want to tell us a little bit about her? I see she's been recognized by USA Today as a top entrepreneur to watch. And so that's why, again, I think, Shawn, you got individuals here. We're talking about elevation and visibility. Like you already, like most of us already have something that's newsworthy, noteworthy. And so now getting into platforms like Speakers Magazine, taking part of things like the Leadership Experience Tour that you're hosting is just adding like another layer of visibility on top of what you already have going on.
Yeah, the visibility is important. Let me just say, Dr. Marcia, we've been in pretty constant communication throughout the tour. Generally, we're working with speakers for about 4 months before they hit the stage. She's intentional about what it is that she's trying to accomplish. Number one, she is a phenomenal life coach. But let me just say this. She is a dynamic speaker. So listen, if you're not tuning into the show on February 12th, you definitely want to tune into it. We will have some schedules that'll be going out on social media. So just make sure that you listen to her message. I don't want to steal any of her thunder, but she's got a powerful message that she's going to be delivering that can have a profound effect on your life. So just make sure you're tuning in.
Oh, we should put that up too. How do people get more information about the leadership tour?
What they want to do is if they send me a message on Facebook, that I'll do something special for anyone that's paying close attention to this and you want to see the program, I will do something very special for you. You don't want to miss it. It'll be so special that you might not have to pay much of anything. That's all I'm trying to say. So you can reach out to me on Facebook, go to Shawn Fair, and you can just message me. Or you can go to www.Leadership Experience Tour and just send me a message there if you would like to do that. www.Leadership Experience Tour, and just put in a note that you would like to view the program. It's going to be airing on OnStage Plus, which is a digital TV platform, and you'll be able to watch this on your television. You can also watch this from your phone via app as well.
Nice. Okay. Look, Shawn's giving you the inside scoop. I would recommend, a person like me, would you say, Sierra?
I said no excuses now, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, people like me, I'll be in his DMs right now, like, hey, what's up with that? What's up with that?
I'm going to send something very special to those people that DM me that want to actually watch the show.
I love it.
Very good.
So these are one of the things I always look forward to from the desk of the publisher. Of course, February is Black History Month. No surprise there. And Pam, Speakers Magazine was actually created to showcase Black speakers, African-American speakers, and share secret tips on what folks are doing in the speaking industry to move their dreams forward. So she always does an excellent job of showcasing some aspect of that. It looks like here, I see my picture here. This is when, this is the last time I was in Detroit, Shawn, was for our Speak Up book tour a few years ago. And that was a funny story I'll tell you about later. But basically, I almost got lost up in Canada. But basically, Pam does an incredible job of just kind of outlining the theme for each issue. And I think here, with the significance of Black History Month, I see she's giving reference to another incredible leader, Dr. George Frazier, who has not only, I believe he's on the first issue of Speakers Magazine, if I'm not mistaken, but she has a really cool feature here that talks about what do you mean? Sorry, okay, I'm gonna just read it because I think it's really important. It says, Dr. George Frazier, author of Success Runs on Our Race, quoted a study that said Black folks in America are the only species on the planet that will not do things in their own best interest. Ooh. And what he means is that in our own best interest to, number one, support one another. Number two, do business with one another. Number three, promote each other. Number four, refer each other. And number five, help each other. That's what you were talking about earlier, Rodney, with regard to that net. So highly recommend that y'all, check out this piece. She always is dropping nuggets of wisdom in there. And Dr. George Frazier is definitely a pillar who's kind of paved the road that we're driving on now.
He's a huge figure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
One of his famous quotes that I love, and I hear him, he'll say it most oftentimes. He says, "No one's coming to save you." He says, "No one's coming to save us. No one's coming to save us," meaning Black people. Yeah. So with that, these are the things that we need to do.
So we got Carolyn Brooks Collins, women's empowerment financial coach. So Shawn, you got a few things you want to say about her?
Carolyn reached out to me literally about 2 weeks ago, and she was kind of questioning if she had the it factor when it came to speaking. And let me just say this. We don't bring you on the tour unless you got the it factor. In other words, everybody who gets on the stage has to deliver an impactful and engaging, flawless presentation without a presentation behind them. That's number one. Number two, she got a free promo video done with us. And so she did a 90-second spiel. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she's all about changing people's lives. But she did this 90-second spiel. She sent it over to us, and our graphic designers did something amazing with her video. And when I sent it to her, I said, "I want you to watch it. You tell me if you don't see the gift." This is a gifted speaker, and she has a powerful message on how to change your life, which is beneficial to anybody. We all
they have to audition to be part of this experience.
Yeah. Some people, when I use the word audition, they get a little, antsy about that. And here's what I say is that it is so important when you're in this industry, no matter how well you're doing, that you stay humble. That's number one. We don't audition because we feel like, you need some help automatically. That's not why we audition. We audition because we find people and we listen to your video work. And most of the time, the video work is absolutely amazing. But there are some people, we're looking at your profile, we can't find any video work, but you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a coach, you're an entrepreneur. Like, you're bringing some real value on your social media page, but we haven't heard you. So sometimes we choose wrong. In other words, 90% of the people we choose right. But every now and then, there's a few people who say, you're not quite ready for this just yet. So it's more of a formality for most people. And then as they go through the audition process, we show them some of the mistakes that we've made, right? And we have some fun with it. But the whole point is that we want to make sure that when you come on, that you have the ability to deliver a flawless presentation, because when you come on the tour, your reputation is tied into everybody's reputation. And it's important that we put the best up there. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I appreciate that reframing, because I think ego is something that is kind of almost inherent with speakers, and to an extent you kind of need it a little bit. Like, if you have the if you're going to be getting up in front of an audience and being vulnerable and sharing a piece of yourself, like, you kind of need a little bit of an ego. But then when it goes too much on the right, then you get into a situation where you don't want to accept help, or you think you should only have green M&Ms or whatever the case is. And now you're not able to fully, get the most out of the experience. So I think something like that is powerful. And you have some powerful ladies featured here too. I see Dr. Harris. We're seeing a lot of doctors, first of all, Josephine Harris, and then Angela Hooper.
Minifield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shawn, if you want to share a little bit about those two, we can dive into them.
Well, let me just say, Angela she's absolutely amazing, and I don't know if that's in her bio or not, but she's also a John Maxwell coach. She's been a part of his program for some time.
I think it may be in there.
Yeah.
I think I saw it.
Yeah, it's in the second. It's in the last paragraph.
Yeah.
Now,
it says independent executive director with John Maxwell team.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm a John Maxwell coach too, 10 years. We're competitors. I'm not trying to talk him up or anything, but let me just say that people that come through his program, that's taken the time to go through his content, they really become some very powerful communicators with great nuggets, because his content becomes our content. Yeah. So she's been with him for some time, and she's been amazing to work with. Let me just say this about her: she has taken advantage of everything that we've had to offer. If there was anything that she can get, she got it. So I think she's been in like 6, 7 publications since she's been with us. She's got like 3 or 4 different promo videos with us. She's got a Mark Block pen that we're giving to her. She's got the state-of-the-art wireless mic, the same one that I use, Tony Robbins used, Les Brown uses. She's getting one of those handed to her when she comes. Everything that we had to offer,
she's taking it up.
She's taking advantage of, because she understands that there's an opportunity here to put herself in position to win. And I love working with speakers like that. And Dr. Josephine is just, number one, she has an amazing story. And she delivers in a very impactful and dynamic way. And I think people are going to enjoy, just paying attention and listening to her.
Love it. Man, yeah. And that's the reason why we're doing this. Again, it's one thing to kind of see the magazine and Sierra, you do such an incredible job, but sometimes getting an opportunity just to get a little bit more context and perspective is always key. Now, here we are in the cover story. Shawn Fair, obviously, man, pulling out more of these executive photos. But I love this beyond the stage. So, Sierra, you want to tell us a little bit about, kind of how this cover story came together?
Yeah, I kind of talked about it already, but like I said, Shawn really took me back to corporate. I appreciate his background in sales and marketing, and he gets the whole concept, the whole idea of how to really elevate yourself. He talks about the publications. He knows the importance of, your customer service management team. He understands branding. He talks about that co-branding aspect. So with all of that, and we talked about strategy. You have to have a strategy before you get on that stage, as well as when you get off of that stage. It's just not one and done. And so when we talked about that, I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly taking these speakers beyond the stage. What do you do once you get off of that stage? So that's how that title came about. But it was really just him, learning about how it came about, talking about the business model, his background, and the fact that he had that partnership with Imagine. I mean, that was
amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's huge. They came to him.
Yeah.
And I love how he said they had been watching him. He didn't even know it. So we know people are watching us. They never commented or anything. And here now his whole name is up on a marquee. They're asking him to bring people in on their downtime. So I thought this was just very amazing when I think about the business model and the business of speaking. And I think that's the part when I talk about the community, that's part of the puzzle that oftentimes doesn't get talked about as much. And now that piece of the puzzle has been added.
One of the things that I loved about Shawn's Leadership Experience Tour is the fact that it's sponsored by, and I don't know if that's the best word to use, but that's Rodney Speak. It's sponsored by Forbes, right? Partner with, collaboration, Forbes. So being able to say that I was on a stage that's sponsored by or in connection with the branding of Forbes. Do you know, we talk about the limos and we talked about the footage and we talk about the photographers, right? I got some pictures from my time in Shawn's Leadership Experience Tour that I use to this day. People send me invitations to be on their podcast and stuff like that using my photos from that tour that I don't even know how they got. They're quality photos, right? And so being able to say that Shawn's Leadership Experience Tour, I'm telling you, I only talk about things I believe in. It's why I do the work that I do. This has been a phenomenal opportunity, and I encourage you. You think you're ready to elevate, you got to get connected to something like this.
Rodney, I tell every speaker when they join us is that it takes about 5 years to develop your speaking business. In other words, you can probably replace your income or reasonable income within a 5-year period of time. When you join a platform like this one, we chop 2 years off of it. That is if you stay consistent and you build momentum. We have some ladies who's, close to their 70s, if not in their 70s, who are getting paid speaking gigs coming off of the tour. And they're doing the work and they're willing to invest. The one thing I can tell you is that some people are not willing to invest in branding and marketing. Like, my thing is, if whatever Pam tells you to do, just do it. And if you don't invest in yourself, if you don't invest in your business, I can promise you, it is not likely that you're going to see success. What I've found out over the years is that the more I spend in things that bring value to my business, the more incremental revenue I was able to generate, the more that I spend. So even when you take in consideration people like Grant Cardone, who started off by spending 5,000 on social media, then he started to spend about 25,000, then about 300,000, and then he's up to about 750,000, and now he spends about 3 million on social media per year. But he's making 150 million. And it's because the more that you spend on things that bring the value into your business, the more incremental income you're going to generate. And it allows you to expand your capacity and your reach much farther than you ever thought that you could. But it requires sometimes some sacrifice, and a lot of folks not willing to make it.
I 100% agree with that. I think if you take even like a simple business model, take like a barbershop, for example, because a lot of times, it may be that, speakers and, when you make the decision like, hey, I'm going to build a brand, I'm going to start a speaking business, or I'm an entrepreneur and I'm going to leverage speaking. And they try to, we try to nickel and dime or, try to make concessions on what we're actually going to invest in. If you had like a barbershop, nobody in the world would expect just like a steady stream of customers and never, like, we're never going to talk about, we're never going to print business cards, we're never going to do flyers, we're never going to reach out, we're never going to run ads, we're just going to, have the best haircut in the city. And, there might be like, once you get like customer base, yeah, there is a word of mouth role that kind of picks up. But I agree with you, Shawn, like it takes a couple years for you to be a name, and even those people don't take the foot off the gas with ads. Like I get Les Brown ads all the time, I get Lisa Nichols ads all the time. Like they're still doing the stuff that new speakers don't even want to do. And so I absolutely agree that you gotta be willing to
you got to spend money to make money, and there's a limit to that word of mouth. That you can only ride that for so long.
Guys, we're at the 5-minute mark if we're trying to get close to 1 p.m. So I'm going to be our little heartbeat reminder. Play my role for us today.
I think it's great. Well, we got a few more speakers left to go through. And again, the whole goal is we want people to go to speakersmagazine.net. Speakersmagazine.net is where you could go check out the whole issue. And I know, folks could be able to check out everything else. But we got Brittany Collins and Mr. Michael Wimberley featured next. So, Shawn, you want to say a couple words?
Well, I think people want to tune in to Brittany because she's going to tell you about her failure in business, all because there was a psychological issue. She didn't like hearing the word no. Well, I got bad news for you. If you're not used to hearing the word no, you might as well not even get into this business, because you're going to get a bunch of no's before you get a yes. But just know, after so many no's, that a yes is coming down the road. And she's going to talk about her old mindset and how she changed that and now is successful in doing business. So you got to tune into that message. Mr. Michael Wembley, let me just tell you about him. This is his second tour. Well, there's a few people here. This is their second tour. The last tour, when he gave his presentation, there was a man in the audience that was there to support another speaker. But after hearing his presentation, he decided to ask that lady to marry him, all because of what he heard from Michael's presentation.
Wow.
Never know how someone's message impacts the audience. Absolutely.
I like that.
All right, and now we have LaShawn Fairley and another doctor, Dr. Teresa Mosley.
Yeah. Now, LaShawn, let me just tell you something. Her and I have had plenty of conversations. She talks about ADHD, and she's got a severe case of it. And every now and then we're on the phone together. Now, I told you I had a touch of it myself, so you can just imagine the confusion that's on that phone call. But let me just say that she's put some best practices in place to really overcome her ADHD. And she's going to talk about that on the stage. This is a very common problem with a lot of people across the country. So stay tuned for that. And Dr. Teresa Mosley, this is either her second or third tour. I can't remember, but she has a phenomenal presentation. Now, you talk about someone who can speak, someone who can deliver dynamically, someone who has the ability to engage, educate, and entertain is Dr. Teresa Mosley. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to her.
Awesome.
Oh,
all right. And then we got Miss Michelle Edelin. Thank you.
Yep.
And Jermaine J Stanley.
Yep. And it's the same thing with Michelle. There are some speakers that just stick out like a sore thumb. She's mastered the art of elongating her words, right? The pitch, tone, and rate of speed. She has the unique ability to engage an audience. And so she's got a great message. And then Jermaine, I've known Jermaine for some time. He's the vice president of ISACA. ISACA is one of the world's largest cybersecurity organizations, and he's over the DC chapter, which is the third largest chapter in the United States. And he's coming in to talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion. You know, he's been a high-level executive for many, many years, and so we're looking forward to hearing from him.
He's right down the street, Brian. We got to scoop him up sometime.
Yeah, actually, we do, because we DE&I is our fastest growing sub community within BSN, and I think there's when you split it across industry like he is here with technology, I mean they're hurting right now. Every technology company out there is trying to figure out the diversity equation, so that's good. Oh, and that's it. There we go. And then on the back cover here, Sierra. I know we have how to reach more people without creating more content, which is, you know, again, Speakers Magazine, I mean, you're getting, even through the stories and everything like that, you're getting lessons. But, you know, Pam always does such a good job of integrating in articles, resources, and content like this here, where, you know, you're walking away with something that is actionable for growing your speaking business. And so that looks like what we have here from Ms. Wood. So, absolutely good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, you had something, Rodney?
I was just agreeing that this is altogether good. Shawn, listen, the thing that I respect about you, I said this on your stage, right? I said it in front of the people. I've told you this one-on-one when you and me, you've been breaking bread and just, you know, chopping it up. When you position yourself, not just to come up and do good for yourself, but do things in a way that creates opportunity and life for others, that resounding effect is what we call abundance, right? You've been doing this a lot. I respect it. I respect it. There's something about authenticity, right? If you see, you ever see somebody laughing in a grocery store and you don't know what they laughing about, and they try to hold it together, but you see them laugh. After a little bit, what we start doing? We start
laughing with them, right?
Because it comes from their heart. It's a real thing that they're experiencing, and we can feel that. Shawn, you do this, and because of that, I respect you a lot. Brian, I want to do something for Shawn. On behalf of us, I'm gonna connect with you about it. We'll talk offline. But Shawn, man, I got a lot of respect for you, bro.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Rodney. I appreciate it, and I got some stories about Rodney. I know we just don't have enough time to go through them, but I would like to say just one quick thing, is that I tell my entire staff, and we got about 10 people that's on staff, that when someone comes to the tour, we're here to serve them. They're not coming here to look up to me or to look up. We are here to serve every speaker that comes in, and we treat them like royalty. That's number one. Number two, if you're trying to elevate your platform as a speaker, even as an entrepreneur or a coach, we are auditioning right now for the June 2nd through 4th tour, and we're going to have all the same elements on this tour on the June 2nd through 4th tour. So if you would like to audition for the tour, you can message me on Facebook. Just go to Shawn Fair and just DM me, and I'll respond to you literally right after we get done with this particular broadcast. But it is an amazing opportunity. And let me just say this to you. The cost is almost nothing. We have major sponsors that contribute to our program, and I put everyone in position to afford something that costs $10,000 to $20,000 based on what our business analyst says that we should charge. It's a fraction that everyone can afford. That's what we're here for. We're here to serve.
Beautiful.
Absolutely love it. Well, Shawn, man, again, congratulations for Speakers Magazine this month. Um, you know, and again, I think Rodney's already said everything that I would communicate just around the value that you're adding to this industry. But I echo that, and we look forward to continuing to partner and share the great work that you're doing here across Black Speakers Network. Sierra, always a pleasure. Great cover article as always. I have no idea how you're able to compress all of that into 750 words, but I'm glad that you do.
450.
Oh, 450. Just kidding. You're like, look, don't get it twisted. A lot of chopping, but it always comes out great. And Rodney, appreciate you, man. Always adding value and context to what we're doing. So, we are done. Again, if you're watching this either live on the replay, I encourage you to go to speakersmagazine.net. Speakersmagazine.net is where you can check out this issue or any of the past issues that Sierra's holding up of Speakers Magazine. It's free education on best practices going back 4 years. I don't know what 4 times 12 is, but whatever that number is, that's how many articles you have to go back and check out and read and learn. Shawn Fair is hosting the Leadership Experience Tour. He's already mentioned that. You want to DM him on Facebook. If you want to get involved, it is happening live February 12th, which is next week. And then finally, if you are interested in being in the next issue of Speakers Magazine, head on over to speakersmagazine.net/advertorial. And that is where you can get signed up. And those spaces go really fast. So make sure that you do that as soon as possible. speakersmagazine.net/advertorial. But guys, we are done. Have an amazing weekend and rest of Black History Month. And we'll see y'all on stage. Have a great